And welcome back to my series, Meeting the Men of Code Red. I'm just so appreciative of all of you guys being here and being along for this journey. It is so much fun to meet the Men of Code Red. And one of our long standing Men of Code Red, Mark Peterson, I finally got him to come on and talk to all of us. I am so appreciative because Mark's been with us for a very long time and he's got so many good nuggets. And plus, he's just a man's man. He's a man's man. And we don't hear from a lot of guys. So Mark, this is really a treat. Thank you so much for being here.
You bet. Glad to be here for you, Christy. It's nice to be part of it.
Yeah, well, there's nobody that knows the program better than Mark Peterson and his wife and his family. I think I've met two of your kids so far, Mark, and Monica, and just such a wonderful family. So let's dive right in, Mark, and have you take us back to even before the beginning. Kind of paint a picture for us of what life was like before Code Red. How were you? I mean, I've seen pictures of you, but not a lot of people know about your journey. So what was life like before you finally made the change?
Well, just give a little history. I work in corrections, so it's a high stress, high speed job where there's a lot of stress. So you kind of eat on the go. You eat what you can. You don't eat that healthy. You eat out of a vending machine most of the time. You come home, you plop down on the couch, you eat whatever's in the house. I was known as a forager. I like a big old bear that would just go through the house and just forage for food and just eat and eat. There was no particular food that I really craved. I just liked food. I just liked food in general, eating. And as the years went by, I got bigger and bigger. And I'm one of those diet surgery failed weight loss surgery people that thought, I'll get the surgery, get gastric bypass, and I'll just be perfect. I'll lose the weight. Yeah, I lost the weight, but I gained right back. And I got bigger and bigger. And finally, I was pushing over 300 pounds. And that was huge. I was fat, to be honest. That is the fattest I'd ever been. And looking at myself and the pictures in the past, I was just fat. There was no excuse for it. There was no, and I needed something. I was in my 50s, high stress job, family of high blood pressure, heart disease. So, I wanted to see my family. I didn't want to die. Corrections, life expectancy is 57. Mm-hmm. I'm now 55. Been doing this for almost 2 years now for you. And so it's kind of, I want to keep doing it and be a success for years to come. And I needed something. And 300 pounds, I was wearing a size 46 pants, a 19 and a half shirt. I looked like the Goodyear blimp going down the road.
Did you have health problems, Mark, before? I know you come from a family of health problems, but did you have your own?
I had high cholesterol. My blood pressure was high. I was on blood pressure medication, all those things. I'd go to the doctor and he'd check my blood pressure and it would be up and he'd put me on medication, and I'd go again and it would be higher and he'd put me on more medication to try to control it. And finally I realized, I'm a fat guy. There's no excuse. There's just really no excuse for the way I look, the way I feel, what I'm doing to my family. To be honest, my kids were actually years ago embarrassed the way that I looked. They never would come out and say, but you get that feeling when you're around people, when you're big and you're fat, they're just not comfortable with you because the way you are. And, my kids were that way. And so I was thinking, I want my kids to be proud of me. I want my wife to be proud of me. I want, to be that person that I know that I am.
And now, I don't know if you guys caught this, but Mark said a few minutes ago that he works in corrections, and the average age of a correctional officer is 57. Did anybody else catch that listening to this? That is really significant. So the reason that is, and I have had the pleasure of being able to go to Mark's work at his correctional facility and take a tour, and I can now understand why it is as volatile of an environment just on your health as it is, because you go from being sedentary, just everything fine, to go into 10 out of 10 stress trying to break up a riot or break up a fight or something with these inmates. And so you go from 0 to 10, 0 to 10, 0 to 10, and it just wreaks havoc on your stress, on your cortisol, on all. So that's, I wanted to bring that up for people who might not have caught that. Like, it's a serious, serious business that very few people can make it in. And it was taking its toll on Mark's health.
And it really was. I was, I was miserable. I was depressed. I was not happy. I was grumpy. Um, I was just that epitome of an unhappy person. And it was causing headache on my family life. It was, so I needed something. And that's when I finally, Jim Taylor put a flyers about Christy Code Red and the 10-pound takedown challenge for corrections people. And I thought, I'm gonna check this out and see. And that was in, I think it was January of 2019.
Yes,
I think
I think you're
first time.
right. Yeah.
I think that's was, and I thought I'll try this and see what it's like. See what because I went online, I YouTubed you, and I looked you up, and I looked at your website, and I thought, well, I'm gonna do a little back history just to make sure this is not some fly by night, thing. And I had faith in Jim that he was, he'd been losing weight. So I thought, if Jim can do it as big as he was, then there's no reason that I can't do it. And so I tried that first. Go ahead, Christy.
Oh, sorry. So you're why did it why did it not work? The weight loss surgery comes with rules. All the diets come with rules. Code Red comes with rules. But you failed your weight loss surgery. Why did that fail? Not you didn't fail. Why did it fail you? Is it because you weren't ready, or because you manipulated the rules and yet I wouldn't let you?
I think it was too, it didn't make sense.
Ah.
It just, the common sense wasn't there. Whereas Code Red, if you really understand the system and what you teach and what we learn, is it gets to be common sense, and it's easy, and it makes sense to everybody. It makes sense to drink water, sleep, eat the right foods, and it works. Most diets are, well, you got to eat so many of this, and you got to eat this, and you got to take these vitamins and this vitamin and so much, this protein drink and that protein drink. And yours is so simplistic, it just makes sense. And that was the thing that sold me on it the first time, was it just makes sense. There's no, you don't need a PhD to understand it. You don't need cram papers to get through it. It just makes common sense if people really understand. Read your book, and it just makes that common sense to understand it. And it's not that difficult. Sometimes our lives get hectic and we get turned around and sideways and things are playing havoc, but we got to just step back and take a breath and get back on track, and it just makes sense. And that's what sold me on it. The first challenge was, it wasn't that bad. It was, cutting food, and I was used to foraging, and I had to teach myself that I couldn't come home after work and snacks through the house and then eat dinner and then have something before I went to bed. I had to go back and eat specific things and get away from the grains and the chips and the nachos and the dairy and all those things that I love, and eat the berries and eat those things that I'm supposed to be eating that are healthy and that make sense for me to eat. Whereas the grains and all those things don't make sense because of what science has done to them over the years, have just hybrid them so much, they just tear our bodies up. And with having 3 ankle surgeries now, I can tell you, if I slip up and I finally have an ankle replacement, I know if I've ate grain, my joints will swell up, and especially that ankle that's been replaced. That sells me on not eating the grains, because my joints will swell up, and I'm like, okay, Christy's right again. See, she's right. I can't fight it. I can't prove her wrong. So I might as well go with it.
So you mentioned it just made sense, but yet knowing the history of high cholesterol and stuff, and knowing what modern medicine teaches us about cholesterol, which is totally wrong, were you a little bit afraid at first when you first got the foods list and it had like eggs and bacon and steak and asparagus and cottage cheese? Did that scare you at first?
Well, it did, because most diets are, low fat. Don't eat the bacon because there's so much fat in it. Eat this, and I was like, I like eating bacon. I can eat bacon for breakfast. I can eat sausage for breakfast. I can eat, that sounds good for breakfast. Eggs for breakfast in the morning, because they usually teach don't eat eggs, don't eat bacon, don't eat those high fat foods with a lot of grease in them. Or yours is go ahead and eat those because you need that. And when it all fits together and you follow it and you see the weight go off, it sells you right there. It proves everything else you learned about dieting over the years from all those other people and all those other programs and all those other infomercials that are sold on TV, that your way is so simplistic that it just is common sense. It becomes just so sensible on the way to do it is just easy.
So immediately just put words in your mouth because I said immediately you saw results. But no, let me ask you, how soon did you start to see results when you started implementing the food list and the rules?
I started, I think the first takedown, I think I lost 11 pounds, if I remember right, long ago. And I'm old and forgetful and senile, and so remembering those things. So, but even losing that amount to me meant something. So, I lost that much. Why couldn't I lose more with following the basics of what you teach and being able to do the things in the cookbook and being able to cook all those things and eat that code red cheesecake, who, is phenomenal, is just like, you think you're really eating cheesecake. The first time I tried it, I was feeling guilty about eating it. We made it and I was like, this is not right. We can't eat this. This is sinful. We shouldn't be eating this code red cheesecake. But it's just, and then it just kind of progressed from there. I kept with it, had stumbles and falls, but always knew if I went back to doing what you said and what you taught, it worked. And then it just kind of, go ahead.
When you had
It,
stumbles and falls, what did you notice came back? Like the aches, the pains, the headache? I know when if I go off my plan, I get headaches, I get aches through my joints. How about you? What happens if you get off track a little bit? What do you notice that comes back on?
I notice that my joints start to hurt, they swell up. I notice I get bloated. I feel like a bloated cow out in the pasture that's been eating the wrong stuff. And it's just like, you just feel the haze. It's kind of like a haze that comes over you, that you feel just totally rotten, and you feel not yourself that you were following code red. You become that alter ego that you used to be, that you miserable you used to feel, and how you used to feel bloated sitting around, and how you used to hurt all the time and didn't want to do anything. And but when you follow code red, you have the energy, you have, that want to go out and do things. And it's just night and day. When you've had those stumbles and falls, you're able to compare, how you are with code red and what you used to be, and be able to go, okay, I don't want to be that old person that I was.
I know that 93% of our clients are women, 7% are men, and I just don't get that. It's not like I'm ultra feminine. I mean, I have a little bit of masculine qualities. I have a background in fighting. I don't know why I'm not attracting more men. Do you suppose it's because we have such a strong community connection? I don't know. Why do you suppose we don't seem to get more men? Because you're one of the only ones on Code Red.
Well, I think for me, at times my ego
Mm,
and my stubbornness sets in as a man, and I don't want to admit that I need help.
mm.
I think as a man, that kind of is like tenfold for us, whereas women are more apt to seek help and like that, community group together. Because I catch myself, I'll get on Facebook on the groups, and I'll be going through and looking and reading the comments, and then I'll get bored because there's no guys there. there's no guys posting. And I'm like, do I dare say anything? I'm a guy. Do I dare make a comment? I might be out of pocket. I don't want to construe this in a different way than what it was meant, so, and it's just, I think guys are just afraid to admit they got a problem because they always think, well, I can fix it myself. It's like asking for directions. You guys want to ask for directions, right? And I'm sure Miles is the same way. I'm not going to ask for directions. I know where to go. I know where to find it. And it's the same way with weight loss. Guys are big. They don't want to admit they need help. That ego and that persona gets in the way. And guys are supposed to be big and tough and rambunctious. And they don't want to admit that they need help. And that ego sets in. That stubbornness gets in the way, and they don't want to ask for help.
What has changed since how much weight have you lost total?
Right now, about 75 pounds from where I was in January 19. I still got some to go, but it's been, 2020 has been a weird year.
You said it. So what have you noticed has improved? What has changed in your life, your relationship with Monica, the way that you do your job? What kind of changes have you noticed? I mean, I know the weight, we always talk about the scale, but there are so many other benefits that I know you've experienced. What are those?
Well, I think the best thing is our relationship with me and Monica. It's, before she's healthy anyway. She eats healthy, and I would eat totally different. And she was skinny and I was fat. So it was kind of like, the reverse of Jack Spratt could eat no fat and his wife could eat no lean. It was the other way around for me and Monica. And I think with me losing weight and feeling better, it's improved our relationship, tenfold on how we communicate. The joy, the satisfaction that we have with one another is, just tenfold. And she follows Code Red, and it's amazing, but it's just, that relationship in itself is improved in itself, which was magnificent, because before, being a fat guy and being grumpy and not feeling like wanting to do anything or go anywhere because you were embarrassed because of how fat you were and clothes didn't fit, and you always had to get the triple X's, and you always, you didn't look good. And now, hey, I'm ready to go. I'll get a shirt and tie and go out to eat, and I look pretty damn good. And so I'm pretty proud to go out in public now the way I look. So, and then in work, it's just improved at work. My boss said I've cost him a lot of money because I went from uniform size to uniform size to uniform size. And so the uniforms at work are not that cheap to buy. And he keeps giving me a little flack about spending money on me to buy new shirts and new pants. And then I go down the size again and I have to get new shirts and new pants. And so overall, it's just made things 100% better. And it's surprising when people see you after they haven't seen you for, a few months, and they don't recognize you. And if they go, "What happened? Are you okay? Are you sick?" And you go, "No, I'm eating healthy. I'm eating the right foods. I'm drinking water. I'm getting the sleep I need, and I'm losing weight." And then and you try to explain about Christy Code Red and the program, and "Oh, that's too strict. I can't do that. I can't do that program. That's just way too strict for me." And you try to explain the common sense to them, and they just don't get it, some of them. And I think people, till they get to that point in their life where they finally realize that they have to, as all the people on Code Red have, from the large amounts of weight loss to the little amounts, we've all realized that it's time to do something. And we got to find something that works, and your program works. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's pay now or pay later for sure. So I know I mentioned you're a man's man because it's so funny. I'll make comments about Miles and you'll be like, yeah, I get that. Do you hunt and fish and get outdoors? I think you do, right?
Yes, we do. We camp and fish and hunt, and for the past 3 years with bad ankle, we haven't done much of it. But we did all that and shoot, and we got our AR-15s, and we got our guns. We go shoot, and everybody in the family does, and so we do all those fun things. And I remember being fat trying to do those things. Camping wasn't that fun when you'd go camping and you're a big hefty guy and you're hiking up through the woods and you're huffing and puffing trying to get somewhere, or going hunting when I weighed 300 pounds and trying to hike up through the hills thinking I was going to die. But now, heck, you know, am I in the best shape? Probably not, but I'm in a heck of a lot better shape where I was in 2019. So
Well, probably your
it's
ankle slows you down more than anything than your weight does, but just even getting in and out of the truck.
well, in if getting with the ankle this year's, I think my body has accepted the joint, the
Mm.
artificial joint, and it's phenomenal. Um, because in 19, when I had the surgery, I just started my weight loss progression, so I was still pretty big. And then they had to put, my body didn't accept it, but I think my body finally cleansed itself of all the bad stuff throughout the years. It took a while for me, but I
Mhm.
think with this joint replacement I had in March of this year, the body's accepted that joint and it's all just meshed together, and there's no swelling of the ankle. It hardly hurts. It's phenomenal.
Mhm.
But I know when I've ate something I shouldn't, especially the grains, that ankle hurts. And it's like, okay, Christy's right again. Can't prove it wrong. I can't get on the phone and tell her she's wrong. So then I have to quit eating. And then I know when it starts to feel better, all right, the grains have cleansed through my body. I've drank enough water to filter my system and everything's back to the way it should be.
Now you have invested in the Rebel for Life VIP program. What is it about that program that makes it worth it for you? Just the connection with me?
It's just the overall connections. When I did the one in 2019,
Mhm.
the first Rebel for Life in 2019, it wanted to be more of a part of something because we had, you got your monthly 10-pound takedown Facebook pages, but just to have that group net of people that are doing the exact same thing,
Mhm.
and all the little kickbacks are nice too. Don't get me wrong there; those things are fun, and it's fun to give you a little BS about giving all the women their swag versus not giving the men any swag. So, but I think just having that community where the people are focusing on the same goals that you are. They're rebels for life. They know that what they want to do. They know the facts that they want in their life, and so they're focused towards that same goal that you are. And it's nice to see them going the exact same way. And some have the same struggles. It's nice to see the same struggles that you may be having on the Facebook page. You think you're on your own, but then when you read through it, you find somebody that's having the exact same struggles. So you're not alone out there trying to lose weight all by yourself. You got a whole family of people that are trying to help you out. They're willing to help you out too. But on my part, I wish there was just more guys that would get on the program.
Yeah, for those of you guys and you don't know this because we do have a private group that is closed off to the public just for VIP clients. But Mark had posted a picture in his Code Red branded necklace, and he was like in his lip gloss, and he was like, "Come on, Christy!" And I actually, Mark, it'll be a surprise because you won't remember, but because I don't remember, I have made special arrangements for you, and you'll be receiving something totally special. And Miles was one of the ones that pushed for this too. He was like, "Come on, Christy, you got to do something for Mark. This is not fair." And I was like, you know what? You're totally right. I know just what to do. So it is geared more towards women. And Mark's just been, and of course, I'll leave messages for the group and I'll say something about the women and I'll say, sorry, Mark, or Mark, and I always sidebar. It's kind of funny. So what would you say, Mark, to anybody listening, or especially a guy that might be hesitant, is on the fence, wants to take the plunge, wants to give it a try, doesn't know what to think, doesn't know, opinion about me or whatever he might think about this program? What would you say to that guy? I'm sure you've said this a million times to people.
I'd tell that guy to take that leap of faith and do it. Don't don't sit there and wait to get sicker and to get unhealthier and to keep having to go to the doctor for medication to make your blood pressure level out and to get your cholesterol down. Take that leap and try it for yourself and follow the program and see the satisfaction that you get and see the weight loss and see that happiness that it brings into your life. and the happiness it brings to people around you. And it's hard to get somebody to do what they don't want to do. But if they're sitting on the fence, they just need to take that big step and do it and get their pride and their ego and their machismo out of the way and ask for that help and make that step to become that person, that inner person they're supposed to be, not be that big, hefty guy that everybody thinks a man needs to be, but be that inner person that they need to be and be healthy and not have to see their doctor every 3 or 4 months to get new medication. Only have to see your doctor once a year for a checkup. And my doctor, he sees me once a year and he goes, you're fine. See you in a year. And my doctor's happy with the program. He was happy with all the weight I've lost. So, guys just need to, I think, get their ego and their pride out of the way and just do it.
We have rolling challenges every month. For those of you listening, you can always join the next challenge. I like to bring you these testimonies because it's real people telling you the real story. It's not just Christy. Oh, that's just Christy. No, it's real people, especially a guy. So Mark, thank you so very much for coming on and being open and transparent with us. And this is just so great to hear your whole take on this. I just appreciate it. I don't even think I've ever sat down with you and heard your stories. This was wonderful.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I like talking to you. It's fun.
Guys, join our next challenge and we'll talk to you later. Thanks for being here. You guys take care, everybody.